Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pickleball and Politics, where I combine my quest to stay out of the kitchen with my passion for politics. So the last time I saw you, I told you all I was going to a LevelUp one-day beginner. That was for 2.0 to 3.0 players. I consider myself a solid 2.5. All right, maybe a little bit more. But anyways, as I told you, I was going to the LevelUp one-day beginner pickleball clinic. It was an all-day camp. It started at 9 o'clock. They asked you to be there around 8:30, after 8:30. Supposedly it started at 9. It started a little late. I have to admit it. They had never had it where we were playing for the day, where the instructions were for the day, and there seemed to be a little confusion. Nobody knew where you park. Nobody knew if you had to park, if you had to pay to park. There was one lot over on the side that was free, and I was there to begin with, but then somebody else said, no, it's not free. You're going to get ticketed if you're there. So I went and moved my car to a spot where you had to download the app, and then you had to put in your credit card information. I'm telling you, you had to move your car. Nobody's app was working. Nobody could get their credit card on. I'm going to say it was sort of a disaster in the beginning. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if that's really LevelUp's problem or issue. I can't put it on LevelUp at all. But there was a lot of confusion in the beginning about how to park and where to park. And of course, nobody wanted a ticket. So it was only 50 cents an hour. So that kind of, I will say, I thought there was a lot of confusion in the beginning. I am sure, I know the next day that they had intermediates, and I'm sure they didn't have any of this confusion going on, because by then we'd already figured out everything. So we arrived. I will say I thought it was a little bit, I don't want to say disorganized. There was no organization really. There seemed to be still putting up nets and saying hi and who are you and name tags. And this was the first time they had it at this location. And I would say that they had some growing pains. That's all. It was a little disorganized. It was a little confusing. It wasn't their fault, but it was just a whole lot of people coming at once, asking the same questions. I want to say it was so darn hot. It wasn't funny. And it was so hot that you were fine while you were playing, but when you stopped, oh, the sweat just kept on pouring down, pouring down, pouring down. It was as hot as it possibly could be as far as I was concerned. And we were in a beautiful location and on the water, and there was a breeze, but it was just a blooming hot day. The humidity was high. It was yucky, yucky, yucky. I think I went through 6 bottles of water and a Powerade and a Diet Coke. I admit it, a Diet Coke. So class started, and we had 3 instructors. One was Mike Patterson, and the other one was Scott Golden. We also, and they're pros, and they were the pro instructor. We also had another woman there. Her name was Kelly. She's a local pickleball instructor. I know she plays tournaments and stuff. I didn't get her last name. I'm not sure if she told us her last name. She might have told us her last name. I didn't get it, but she was great. Mike Patterson was the main instructor, and he was great, high energy, never stopped, great instruction. The same with Scott, the same with Kelly. They were all good. I loved the way they rotated constantly. We had 6 courts. I would say my biggest complaint of the day is that they weren't dedicated pickleball courts. I play on a dedicated pickleball court. These were 3 tennis courts, and they had been divided, as you know how they do, and put pickleball temporary pickleball nets up, and they had pickleball lines on each side of the tennis. I think it's very difficult. I forget which box is kitchen. I forget which box is good, which box is bad. There's too many lines. I find it difficult. I do play at dedicated pickleball courts. So that's half my confusion. I know a lot of people play on temporary with temporary nets and those lines in the tennis courts all the time. So they might have a little bit easier time with it than me. I would also say another problem I had is that I played with the same 3 ladies the whole time. 1 or 2 times somebody rotated in because they wanted 6 of us there or 8 at a court. But I tended to play with the same 3 women, all very lovely. One was from Rhode Island. Another one was from New York. I think the other lady was from New Hampshire, if I'm not mistaken. There were very few. I mean, there were people from Massachusetts, don't get me wrong. But there were a lot of people who came from Vermont, Rhode Island, New York, Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire. So they were drawing a lot of people. It was one of the only Level Up camps in the area. So they did have people come in. I would say the majority of the people were 40 plus years old-ish. We did have one young girl. She was maybe 14 or so, 15 with her mom. That was nice to see. That was great. So all the basics were covered. We did serving, scoring, rallies, volley, third shot drop, dinking, and slamming. And I'm not a slammer. I don't like slammers. Every time somebody slams, I do this. I'm not a slammer. So I get that it's part of the game and everything. I also think it was great. The very, very last drill we did was how to go backwards. And I thought that was great because they really spent a lot of time on how not to get injured in this game. Because let's face it, you can definitely get injured. We also played this great dinking skill game where you play, you all stand outside the kitchen, but the kitchen is the court for the first 4 hits, and you just have to hit the ball cross court. So if you're on the right, you had to serve it to the left, but not a serve, just a little underhand. And if the ball went outside the kitchen at all, you lost the point. We were playing regular points. And what was interesting is the first 4 hits, I'm sure there's a name for this, but I didn't catch it. So I hit it, she hit it back, next hit. After the 4th return, the court was open. And so then you would start going back, doing third shot drops and slamming. That's when they wanted you to slam at that time. Wait for the slam, set up the dink, wait for the slam. That was I think it would be good to do that drill. Even once a week, I think it would be great. I mentioned that I love doing drills. I do. And every time I go to play pickleball, it seems like we are just doing the game. And I think that would be a great drill to do. Also, there was a little bit of paddle shaming, I will say. I would say that was the biggest negative of the day. Now, I was using this Z5. I had gotten it not too long ago. I think it was March, April. I talked about it. Z5, it's a wide body. It's light. It's your basic $80 racket. It is light. I took this to Kiowa Island, and when I took lessons with Alex down there, shout out to Alex at Kiowa Island at the sanctuary. I hope you're doing good, Alex. I know he listens, so that's why I'm saying it. He had me try a bunch of paddles, and he had me get this one. And I did buy this one recently, and it's true. I can feel the ball. When I was using this Z5, I never felt the ball. I had no idea. None at all. I will say I never felt the ball. I do feel it with this. They didn't paddle shame me because I already had one of the paddles that they were promoting. They probably had about 15 demos out on a table they'd set up for people to try. But they did shame some people who had this and other paddles that weren't maybe as high quality. This racket was about $200. This was about $80. Guess what? My game's not that good with either one of them. I'll be honest with you. I don't think the racket makes that much of a difference. Maybe as you advance and you get better, and pickleball it would, but for me it didn't. I get that they bring this up because they had a code, and I know they all make money, and I get that. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Everybody's into making a little money, but I don't know if it makes a difference. I don't think it does in my game. How's that? I really don't think. So we played from like 9 to 12 something, and then we came back at 1 o'clock, and we played till 3:30, 3:45. It was 4 by the time I left, by the time I helped take down the nets, and just take a moment and have some water and put everything away that I'd taken. I had taken my own lunch and everything and some snacks for during the day. You needed it. Like I said, I didn't like... remember I told you we were going to be videotaped. There was no videotaping. I was never videotaped just as well because I was a sweaty mess. I don't know if I would have wanted to be videotaped, but I will say I enjoyed the class. Mike Patterson and Scott Golden were great instructors. Kelly was also, I wish I knew your last name, Kelly. I didn't catch it. And I would recommend it. It was $295. It wasn't cheap to go for the day. There were 24 people there. We were playing on 6 courts. There were 4 people on each court. I would say the only thing I would have liked is if I'd gotten to talk to other people. Like I said, I only seemed to talk to the 3 other ladies that I paired up with in the beginning. And they were great. 2 of them were really, really good. One woman, this was the second time she's taken this class. So she's learning. I'm learning. And they were great fun. Now, as you know, I end each episode. No politics. This is all pickleball. This is all level up today. But I do have a dink of the day. You know what my dink of the day is? Those people, and I hate to say those people, but I'll just say people who are smoking pot. Sorry, I hate the smell. We were in a public park. It is legal in Massachusetts, but it stinks. And you stink when you smoke pot. I was in a restaurant last week. Somebody walked in and the waitress said, "Ooh, who's been smoking pot?" You reek. I hate to tell you. You reek. You stink. Some people may say they love the smell. Ugh. I think it stinks. There were people smoking in the parking lot where we were playing pickleball. I smell it in my local court when I'm playing pickleball often, and it stinks. And that's my dink of the day. People walking around smoking pot because I think it's offensive, the smell. I do. You know how so many places you go into, especially medical buildings, etc., they say, no, don't wear perfume because some people find it offensive. Let me tell you, there is no perfume, not even close, as offensive as pot smoking. And the reek, you reek. Even sometimes you go to the market and stuff. You walk by someone and you're like, oh, God. Let me just tell you, everybody out there smoking pot, hey, you do you, I'll do me, but you smell. Sorry. All right. You can reach me on Getter at Pickleball and Politics, on Instagram at Pickleball and Politics, on Twitter at Pickle and Paul. You can go to my YouTube channel, Pickleball and Politics, subscribe, leave me a message. Or you can go to my website, pickleballandpolitics.com. Okay, I will be up. Going to do another one right after this. So if you'll be seeing back-to-back podcasts, it's okay. All right, I will talk to you all soon, and I'll catch you again next time on Pickleball and Politics. Thanks for joining me.